Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of Talking with Our Traders, a Caesars Sportsbook original series. This is where we sit down with our very own Caesars Sportsbook traders and dive deep into everything NFL and college football. Whether you're looking for insider insights or just want to hear what the pros have to say, you've come to the right place. Let's get into it. I'm their host, Cindy Edwards, and with me today, as always, is Craig Mucklow, Vice President of Trading here at Caesars Sportsbook.
Hello there.
And Joey Fiesel, Head of Football here at Caesars.
Hello.
Okay, guys, let's dive into some college football. Joey, was Diego Pavia the best college football transfer from last season?
The simple answer? No, he was not. Is he underrated and one of the most electric players on the field? Absolutely. But we talked about it earlier this season. It's Cam Ward, again this weekend, fighting back from death, the big 2,500-mile trip. Everybody's writing off Miami. They come back to get it done. So, yeah, it's definitely not Pavia. Even though I love to see him play, and that was a very fun game, a very big one.
The answer is no. The best transfers in college don't lose to Georgia State.
Yeah,
fair enough.
That's his.
But in fairness, it wasn't a surprise. You could see it coming. I traded the Missouri game, I think it was, when they went to double overtime, and they played out their skin then, and they were a 17.5-point dog then. So, yeah, I mean, is he good? Yes, but Cam Ward's the answer.
All right. Would Alabama have lost to Vanderbilt if Nick Saban was still their head coach?
Maybe. I mean, it's very hard. It's a weird scenario to be in, but like that kind of huge upset is just ultra rare. So unlikely. I mean, that was like kind of a once in a lifetime for Vandy fans, and you could tell how excited they were. I mean, they took that goalpost all the way to the river.
Insane.
Yeah, crazy. So good on them. But DeBoer did look shook early. I mean, we have a couple of Alabama fans that I always like to give a hard time, and it was early in the first half. They were down by 16. I said, if once they get a touchdown here, if DeVore goes for two, he's shook. And sure enough, he lined up for the two and then pulled back. So I could tell right there that, you're the number one team in the country. You shouldn't be shook. Yeah, there was bad pick six early. You're down, but you shouldn't be absolutely worried that it's over at that point. And he was worried. So. Good on Vandy, but yeah, if Nick Saban was there, maybe, but yeah, who knows?
I was stuck in the middle with this one. I said yes. Saban calls the plays. He doesn't execute them on the field. But on the flip side, Saban wouldn't allow any complacency after a huge win against your biggest rival the week before.
Yeah.
So obviously, drinking the Kool-Aid, it was a huge win for the coach, first year at Alabama. But this was Vanderbilt's Super Bowl. And they came to play, and they played tough. And it's one of those games you see the scores because you're trying to watch so many games on a Saturday, and it's a big liability in play because of the Alabama comeback. And the superstitious person I am I will not switch in this game on under any circumstances because they're still ahead.
Yeah. It was awesome to watch. We have a new favorite for Heisman right now, Alshon Jenti. Do you mind breaking down this market, Joey?
Yeah, Ashton Jenti, 5'9", 215, just an all-out baller, is going to be your Heisman favorite this week. On pace to beat the unbeatable FBS record set by the one and only Barry Sanders, Oklahoma State. Outside of him, we have Travis Hunter, who was on a bye week and still went up in the odds because there was Jalen Milroe, Nico Iamaleava losing, which is going to send them down the odds board. So kind of just, again, last week we asked, is Milroe a lock? No, because is Ashton Jenti a lock? No. And that's just, we're going to see a lot of movement in the next couple weeks. And then third place, you have Cam Ward, refused to lose on that 2,500-mile trip. The whole week, you could see the equipment bus traveling across the country. Everybody was on Cal. They're down late in the fourth. They find a way to get it done. And he certainly has had multiple Heisman moments, so he's still very much in the mix.
That comes back to a stat that I said week one. Before the Jets and 49ers, about East Coast teams going West Coast but playing prime time at night. Mm-hmm. It's really hard on the body because for you on the East Coast, you're kicking off at 11 o'clock at night.
Right.
And I know I'm not at my best at 11 o'clock at night, as you saw last night. Joey's favourite touchdown scorer anytime, Ashton Jenti.
First play.
Got it in there. We were crowning Milroe last week, but it just shows how volatile this market is.
Right.
You can have a bad performance, an injury. If he breaks Barry Sanders' record, he's shooing. But And he didn't even play the second half.
No, he didn't play the second half. He's still on pace. It's crazy.
And that's why we will continue to ask you to break down this market
Okay,
every week to come. So let's get into some game previews. Texas versus Oklahoma. Joey, what should we expect from this one?
Yeah, Red River rivalry, SEC style.
Say that 10 times fast.
I can't say it 10 times. These teams are on two different paths. One team, AP #1 this week, again, with the help of other teams struggling. And then we have the other team, which is historically an offensive powerhouse. Not that case this year. Now it's about their defense. Line is opening up at 15, hanging around -14.5 for Texas. Expectation is that Quinn Ewers will be returned as expected. Arch Manning season might be over. Maybe it's not. We'll see. But yeah, the strength of this Texas team is they're good on both sides of the ball, but it's really their offense, and they're definitely going to want to get Quinn Ewers in this game early. I'm interested to see how this game goes down, especially if Oklahoma can stop that Texas team. It'll be very interesting to see.
Yeah, Oklahoma have won 4 of the last 5, but this is not the same team that's played before.
Right.
Texas, the new #1 again. It's usually a kiss of death in college basketball when you become the new #1 in the rankings and then go lose. This rivalry actually has its own website, which when I was trying to research the game, I was like, wow. So that was great. This will hit the weather watch, though, because it's going to be extreme heat.
Ooh.
So second half over for me in that one.
Okay.
I like it. Okay, next up on our game preview list, Ohio State versus Oregon. Joey, break it down for us.
Yeah, top 2 teams in the Big Ten are going to face off to give one team a chance to control their destiny as a top 2 seed in the college football playoff. Oregon has not been impressive offensively this year compared to last year. Dylan Gabriel, I think we talked about it last year. Is he an upgrade? Is he a downgrade? He might be a downgrade compared to Bo Nix, especially we're seeing Bo Nix play in the NFL. On the other side is Ohio State, who are #1 in the Caesars power ratings. Line opened up as Ohio State -4.5. We've seen that go down to 3.5 where it is today. The Oregon Duck believers have been fighting off criticism since the start of the season, citing offensive line issues, saying they really don't need to be in these games. I think it's a sign of weakness. I think Ohio State's going to be way too much for this Oregon team. It's kind of going against the grain. I think they go into Autzen Stadium and get it done, Buckeyes.
How can I go against the presence of greatness? This is the upset of the week for me. So we completely disagree. Big Ten teams on the road covering multiple time zones this year have lost 8 out of 9. Indiana over UCLA was the only one. This is Ohio State's toughest test. They've averaged 33-point favourites this year. The lowest was 17.5. Now they're 3.5-point favourite on the road, crossing time zones. Yeah. Well, we've already got the upset of the weekend.
All right, we have Craig's upset of the week. Joey, what's yours?
I got Ole Miss on upset alert versus LSU. Yep. LSU coming off the bye, plenty of time to prepare for Lane Kiffin, and they're going to come out firing this week.
Syracuse got the job done last week.
They sure did.
Yeah.
That was an electric atmosphere. Glad I went. Should have picked them because I got embarrassed in my pick last week. All right, guys, moving on to some NFL, some breaking news. Did the Jets fire Robert Saleh too early? What's the impact there, if any? And who will be the Jets' next head coach?
Yeah, Jets unexpectedly fired Saleh yesterday. Was it warranted? I don't know. Was Saleh to blame? I don't know. But one thing I do know is that Aaron Rodgers doesn't look close to the guy that he once was.
No.
And it really just doesn't make sense to me because Saleh, he's a defensive guy. You fire him and then you put Ulbrich, who's also a defensive guy, as head of charge. So if anything, this team gets worse without Saleh, I would think. I mean, you usually get a bump. Again, I don't know what's going on in the locker room. You usually get a bump in when a coach gets fired when they're disliked or they're bringing down the morale. I don't know if that's the case here. So it'll be interesting to see how the Jets come out. From a coaching prediction, I mean, candidates could be Vrabel, Bill Belichick. Offensive side, you probably should go that way because the problem is you're in your offense.
Yeah.
The defense is not bad. Ben Johnson, OC for the Lions. Joe Brady, offensive coordinator for the Bills. It's a big job, big shoes to fill. Just being in New York with having all that talent, so it's going to be a job that many people want. But we'll see how it goes. But I don't think this is the right move.
Yeah,
Craig, thoughts?
I agree. I didn't think he should have been fired last week. Your problems are deeper than the head coach.
Right.
There is no impact because the line was 2.5 bills and it's still 2.5 bills. Joey made a good point about, there maybe is some bump in morale in the locker room to begin with. You only have to look at the Raiders the last 10 years, every time they've changed coaches. The giveaway is when the owner comes out publicly and says, this was my decision and my decision alone, and full well I don't believe that.
Yeah, I was going to ask if we believed that Aaron Rodgers had no impact on this.
And again, something else we've discussed in previous podcasts is 40-year-old quarterbacks don't perform well. There is only one, and you know who that is.
Mr. Tom Brady.
Exactly. Big stretch for the Jets. Next 4 games are all in conference. Divisional game with the Bills on Monday night.
Yep.
Rodgers has got to play like a franchise quarterback. To me, he looked old on Sunday.
Yeah.
And you don't beat Father Time. And the defense, Sauce Gardner basically gave the Vikings the whole drive with all the penalties. And some of those penalties were unwarranted. But the Jets have got bigger problems.
Yeah. For sure. All right, this next one is a topic I'm very passionate about, so I'm excited to hear your answers. Why is Patrick Mahomes the favorite for MVP when he is ranked 16th in QBR? We've got some other stats that I can pull out too, but please, God, tell me why.
Because he's 5-0.
Yeah, he's 5-0.
He's 5-0.
I didn't know
champs.
MVP was a team.
It might be a team
award
until he loses. I know he's made some bad interceptions, but there's intangibles on the field where the play is dead and he finds a way to get it done. And that in a league right now where we're so desperate for good quarterback play, he still shows us week after week why he is the best quarterback on the field. So stats wise, it's fine. If we have a QBR competition, he's probably not going to win that one. But for most valuable player, he's the deserved favorite. They're 5-0. Everybody in the world was doubting they were all on the Saints on Monday night, and they proved them wrong real quick.
Yeah, so he's got 6 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Craig,
I'll let you pick a week.
Yeah, it sure is. Yep. I'll let you give your reasoning.
MVPs find ways to win. Even when things are going wrong, you always find a way, and it might not be for the whole 60 minutes, but it's that one play here or one play there that changes the game. He's beat the Ravens, he's beat the Bengals, he's beat the Falcons, he's beat the Saints, he's beat the Chargers. None of those are mugs. They're all decent teams. Yeah. Granted, they shouldn't have beat the Bengals. Granted, maybe shouldn't have beat the Ravens. But the other 3 did it. Falcons had a chance to beat them, but this is the difference. When it comes to executing that one play, Mahomes is the guy. And you wouldn't want the ball in any other person's hands in the league now than Mahomes. Although plus 280 is a little bit skinny on the price for me. That doesn't interest me at all. Current MVP Jackson's plus 600, who had an outstanding game on Sunday.
Yeah.
CJ Stroud is elite, plus 800. The value to me is Joe Burrow.
Yes.
25-1.
Yep, and we will get to him. Yep. So let me get this straight then. It's the quarterback on the best performing team, not the best performing quarterback.
Not always. I think it's the most valuable player. And what's the value in the NFL?
Wins.
And Super Bowls.
I like
Wins
it.
in February is the most important.
Yeah, that's the most important part.
You broke it down well. Moving on, did Caleb Williams have his breakout game, or was he just playing the Panthers?
Carolina are the equivalent of chicken noodle soup for the soul when you feel sick. Okay, he beat Carolina. He had a good game, but everybody has a good game against Carolina. We could get 11 traders and compete.
Unless you're the Raiders.
Unless you're the Raiders, yeah.
We'll see in week 8. One guarantee. This is the only guarantee I'm going to get right this year. It's the only pick I'm probably going to get right as well. Caleb Williams has his eye on week 8 because he gets Jaden Daniels against Washington.
What an exciting game.
That will be, hey, I'm the number 1 pick, remember?
Yeah. That I'm looking forward to that.
I actually might watch that.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit of both. This is the National Football League. I mean, these teams are way more competitive than like any college conference, right? The top of the SEC and the bottom of the SEC. NFL is way more competitive than that. So, yes, it is the Panthers. And, everybody except the Raiders has had a good game against the Panthers, especially against that defense. But maybe that's what he needs. Maybe he needs that confidence boost to say, hey, I can do this and move forward and kind of build that momentum. So I think it's a little bit of both. We'll see how he does this week.
Yeah. Who do you guys think will win the NFC East?
The Eagles.
The Eagles? You're still sticking with the Eagles? You guys started with the Eagles?
Plus
Still
one.
with the Eagles.
Hey, look, as in true degenerate fashion, just keep going until it loses.
Yeah, I've trouble with the Cowboys. I think that
Fortunate.
they've been fortunate wins. I really don't think they can get it far. The Commanders are scary though. I mean,
they look good.
If they can keep it going, I keep trying. I think I've bet against them twice and I've lost both times, and they just beat me. So like until I think it's I think this might be a good team, but again, the Eagles, top to bottom, most talented team. I think if Hurts can clean up the interceptions, the turnovers, they can get healthy. They're coming off a bye. This is the get right game. Yeah. They could definitely make it for the
depth, experience, and health.
Yeah. So you're sticking with the Eagles for now.
Oh, no. Even when I'm wrong, I'm going to stick with them.
He'll die on that hill.
Yeah.
Okay. Favorite Week 6 game for the total to go under. We call this the Craig Special. Craig, give us what you got.
Not a lot of weather this week. So the Chargers-Broncos at 35.5 is the biggest difference between my number and what the number is out there. So I'm just going to go with the math play on this one.
I like it.
That, yeah. And the Broncos, their defense is good.
Yeah.
It's just straight solid. I got Bills-Jets under. Jets can't play offense, and they can play defense, so I'll take that.
It's a good formula.
Yeah.
I like it. A favorite Week 6 game for the total to go over. Joey, what do you got?
I like the Saints and the Bucks over 41.5. I know we got quarterback issues with this. I think it's going to be Rattler. Even if it's Rattler or Hainer, I think both these quarterbacks are going to be underrated and not expected to do much. So, yeah, I like another NFC South game to go over.
49ers Seahawks for me over 47.5. Again, biggest difference of the number based on my numbers versus what the market is. So I'll go for the value, or perceived value, let's say.
All right. Pick an NFL upset. Craig?
The mighty Carolina Panthers over the Atlanta Falcons. That's
after that performance last week. You're not buying?
I can't remember what I had for dinner yesterday. Never mind last week. 6-point favorites or more this year are 2-15-1 against the spread. So that's a bet tick the box.
Yeah.
Although 7-11 straight up, so you still got to win straight up, and you're asking Carolina to do the job. Touchdown or bigger favorites 1-6-1 and 2-6 straight up. So there's a few on upset watch this week. If you look at just looking at that thing, it should be 1-7 if you got the Chiefs -8.5 against the Chargers, because the Chargers covered that. It was a push on the closing line. So you've got Baltimore on upset watch, Houston, Philadelphia as well. But I'll go the Panthers because it just sounds sexier.
Yeah, it's fun. Joey, do you have any of those teams that Craig listed off?
I got a team that makes no sense. But
What is it, pick 'em game?
New England Patriots for me.
I like that.
It's a bit of a gamble, but Drake May's going to go out there. He's going to have to stay in for the season. You can't let him just go in and go play this little back and forth with Brissett. It'll ruin his confidence. Nico Collins goes on IR. It's the best player on the Texans outside of Stroud. Of
bad
course.
news.
Doesn't make sense, but guess what? The NFL doesn't have to make sense. So give me the New England Patriots.
I had them at least covering, so I like that pick. Okay, guys. Let's get into 3-leg anytime TD score parlay. Craig builds one. Joey builds one. We see if one cashes. Craig, would you like to start?
I was going to phone our customer who selected 9 anytime touchdown scores for a $300 super parlay and won a cool $100,000.
No way.
Yeah, they picked 9. I couldn't even pick 1. Right, I had 3 shots at it. So here we go again. Since this customer's not going to help me. Lamar Jackson in the battle of the mobile QBs, plus 135. I'm staying in that game. Terry McLaughlin, how you ever pronounce Lauren?
Scary Terry.
Scary Terry, there you go. I can pronounce that. Plus 180, and Najee Harris for the Steelers, plus 103. Pace 13-1. I almost put Drake May in.
Yeah,
I love betting rookie quarterbacks on their first game.
That's a fun call to
And
make.
what made you not?
It's the New England Patriots.
All right, fair enough. Joey?
I got 3 wide receivers. Brandon Ayuk for the 49ers.
I nearly took him away.
He's starting to
He's
show
starting
out.
to come out of hiding?
I think so.
Yeah.
Rome Odunze for the Bears. I think the Bears are going to be, I think the Jaguars secondary is pretty bad. Zay Flowers for the Ravens. So
All right.
3.
If you guys like either of these anytime touchdown scorer parlays, you can tail the traders on the Caesar Sportsbook app. Guys, are you ready for overreaction or not?
Always.
Overreaction or not, Aaron Rodgers should have retired last season.
Not an overreaction.
Care to explain?
Yeah. Well, look, we mentioned the stats about 40-year-old quarterbacks. It's not good.
Yeah.
But he's got a new career now, hasn't he? Because he's head coach / quarterback, by the sounds of things. So once the front office cave in and overpay for Day Adams, which it might be a pick I actually get right sometime this year, it'll be interesting to see how the Jets season plays out on the Bravo TV sports network.
Do you think Devontae Adams can save Aaron Rodgers' season?
No.
No.
I don't think he can. I put overreaction because it really doesn't matter if he's bad this season. Like it's you're playing for the Jets. There's not really that big of expectation. I guess there has been in the last couple of years, but it's still the Jets. But he's still a Hall of Famer, so it's whenever he wants to hang the cleats up. I guess you could go out on top, which he really didn't. So I don't blame him from going out and playing. And even he's a fighter. This guy's a Hall of Famer, and he might not be good this year, but I don't want to force anybody in retirement.
So does it hurt him, though, that he's in this comparison with Tom Brady, with Peyton Manning, and then he goes to another team and sucks versus Tom Brady goes, he wins a Super Bowl, Peyton Manning goes, he wins a Super Bowl. Is that an issue or no?
No, but...
No. Because it's the Jets?
I should have looked at the stats, because when Brett Favre hung around, he was only hanging around because he wanted the all-time passing leaders record. Brady and Breeze in their final 2 years, their career going back and forth on the all-time leaders thing. So sometimes it's like they hang around because there's a record that they want. Great, okay, fine. But are you better than Dan Marino, Johnny Unitas, and all the ones that came before you because it's a different game? So sometimes it's more of, it's tough to quit the game, as we see with a lot of players. B, maybe it's have that moment on the field. But retire as a Packer. Like, you want a Super Bowl with them.
Yeah. So you don't think this will affect his legacy?
No, I don't think so.
Not whatsoever.
Okay.
No. And the Jets are lucky because the Mets are still in the playoffs. So the focus is off them right now because everybody's like, wow, we've got a New York team that's actually performing.
All right. Overreaction or not, Joe Burrow is playing better than any other quarterback right now.
Overreaction. You got to win games in order to be playing better. And I know the defense is probably what it is, but... he had his chance this weekend. In overtime, they get the ball, doesn't go anywhere. Okay, field goal or kicker misses. That could be lucky or unlucky. But you need to be able to make the most impact on the field and win games in order to be the best quarterback. Going back to the MVP conversation.
His defense has hurt him.
Yeah.
The defense hurt them against the Chiefs, and they had 2 attempts to stop Lamar Jackson before he threw that brilliant touchdown pass. So that's not all his fault. It's not an overreaction. Always got to put a line through week 1 for Joe Burrow because he never wins. So you have to look at Joe Burrow's season from week 2 onwards. He has played quality opposition. Yeah. Chiefs, Commanders, Ravens. Should absolutely have won 2 of those, but missed field goal, bad tackle, maybe a bad call on a pass interference.
The pass interference, yeah.
I think he's a real live contender for MVP at a huge price at 25s. 7 of the remaining games are very winnable on paper, and maybe I think 35-1 for the Bengals for the Super Bowl is a little bit valuable.
Yeah, on paper he looks good, but again, to your guys' points, he needs some wins.
You don't win games on paper.
Right. Overreaction or not, Jamus Winston should be the QB1 in Cleveland.
Not an overreaction. I think Stefanski should probably be on the hot seat because he refuses to put him in.
Yeah, what's up with that?
I get it.
I know why.
Yeah, you made he's a big salary. You want
the
your
money,
big salary on the field, but it's not him. Put Jamus in.
The answer is Montgomery Brewster's none of the above. There's a yes and a no to this. Yes, because your number 1 quarterback is playing absolutely awful.
Horribly.
Yeah, and he needs replacing. No, because Jamus Winston will then go and do a Joe Flacco like last year, win them some games, ruin the draft position, give the Cleveland fan base some sort of hope for a short period of time. So it's tanking time in Cleveland. They've got major cap issues. The next 2 years, Watson's cap is $70 million. If they cut him, it's $172 million in dead cap space anyway. There's a 3-year tank project going on in Cleveland right now. So trade Jamus to a team that needs a
Would you take him in Miami?
I'd take anybody that can't get concussed. Because A-Chain got concussed as well. Yeah, I'd take him. Why not? Oh, why not? Yeah, look, he can throw the ball. But
I don't think concussions
Cleveland's got
discriminate.
so many money problems now with the cap space. That you are married to Watson whether you like it or not. And Stefanski won't be able to ride out this season. And then as a result, the new head coach comes in, he's got the same problem. So nobody's going to want that job.
Yeah.
Not for 3 years.
Yeah.
All right, overreaction or not, the Patriots are the worst team in the NFL.
This is never an overreaction for multiple reasons. I mean, all the years of watching you win Super Bowls, they are the worst team. And now it was bliss watching that game with Miami and New England at the weekend.
That was an ugly game. That was not bliss for nor Miami fans or New England fans.
I still watched it because it was New England, and it was just like, look, if you can win ugly, win ugly. But, it's fabulous watching the demise of the New England Patriots.
So you think they're the worst team in the NFL?
Them and the Raiders.
They've got some competition.
Panthers, Raiders, Browns, Jags, they're all right there. I don't think the Patriots are the worst. I think they have their defense is pretty solid. We'll see how Drake May comes out. But they're in the race. But I don't think they're the worst team now.
Can Drake May turn it around for New England? Is that the hope at least?
I don't think he can.
Yeah.
But I think, like I said earlier, you really can't put Brissett back in. Like, you need to, if this is your quarterback for the future, this might be a little too early to put him in. Because you just really don't have the weapons there. I mean, Polk, Pop Douglas, but it's really you need to build for the future, and maybe they've seen enough where he's given enough tape that he can read the defenses, read outside of the preseason that he might be ready. But can he turn the season around? No, I don't think there's enough talent around him.
No, rookie head coach, rookie quarterback. You just hope that he gets enough reps and stays healthy.
Yeah,
because he's going to try and do it all himself because the team is so bad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That you don't want to ruin the kid's career just because your team is bad. There's an argument sometimes, let him just learn from Brissett and let Brissett's career come to an end anyway. So it's your team next year. Get a decent draft pick, get some weapons around you.
Right.
Yeah. Overreaction or not, the Bills need to trade for a wide receiver.
Not an overreaction. I think the Bills can be competitive in the AFC, but they certainly will need a big weapon to get them over that hump. So not an overreaction. They probably need to go for a wide receiver.
Yeah.
I think an overreaction. I think the Bills are good this year, and it pains me to say it. Their passing offense ranks high in the league, even after the poor game by Josh Allen last week.
Yeah.
It's the vaunted offensive line that they wanted to have a running game. That's been the weakness right now. And some odd play calling at the end of the game.
Very odd.
Gave you zero chance of at least having a chance of winning the game. So, no, the Bills will be fine. They'll get right on Monday night.
They'll be okay.
Yeah.
Overreaction or not, the Raiders should start the rebuild.
Not an overreaction. They probably should. Again, we talked about at the beginning of the season. If you have two quarterbacks, you have none. They really need to start from the ground up, and especially with the big weapons they're bringing in, Devontae Adams. I don't know if the Max Crosby stuff is fake. Who knows about that? But
right.
I think they need to start the rebuild.
It depends how you read the question, isn't it? Should they start, or had they already started? Because you've already started your rebuild if your two quarterback options at the start of the year are Aiden O'Connell and Gardner Minshew.
Yeah.
Now you've got a coach calling out his players publicly with business decisions. Now you've got Crosby and Adams being very vocal. The team's got major issues. So I think they'll have their fifth coach in 4 years sometime this year.
Ooh.
Yep.
All right,
And
we'll see.
That's not good for consistency within a team.
No. Before we dive into this week's matchups, Craig, let's get to Craig's Weather Watch. Any games on Weather Watch this weekend? I know you already mentioned a few.
Yeah, the most important one is the potential damage with Hurricane Milton, and just hoping everybody is safe.
Absolutely.
Green Bay, strong winds this weekend. In college, Texas, Oklahoma will be extreme heat. And they've already moved South Florida, was it, from Thursday to Saturday?
Yep.
So there's a couple of games in Florida, so there might be some remnants of Milton there.
Yeah.
But we'll keep track of those. But for the NFL, it's the strong winds in Green Bay. And it'll be rainy as well.
All right, let's get into some game previews. The 3-2 Seattle Seahawks will host the 2-3 San Francisco 49ers on Thursday night. Both teams were upset last week. What can we expect from this matchup, Craig?
First of all, this is the most road favorites this year. There's 10 road favorites going into week 6. Road favourites are 15-7 straight up and 11-9 against the spread. As for the 49ers and Seahawks, I've got the 49ers 5-point favourites. I'm not buying into this they're falling apart nonsense.
Yeah.
And I've got the total slightly higher. 49ers have owned the Seahawks. They've won 5 straight. As you say, both coming off bad losses as touchdown favourites as well.
Right.
This feels like the buy low wager of the week for me. Everybody's putting the doom and gloom on the 49ers. Yeah, they've blown 2 big leads against the Rams and the Cardinals, but the Cardinals you can put an asterisk on. Their kicker got injured, and they fumbled the ball in the red zone, which would have extended the lead. So I'll put a star on that one. Seattle, what a great team. They had their way with Denver, New England, and Miami. I mean, that's what an all-star lineup.
If you can't sense the sarcasm from...
Look, I'm dogging my own team. But since then, they gave up 42 to the Lions, and then Danny Dimes looks like Aaron Rodgers in his prime. San Fran, is it 3.5 now, isn't it? I think it's moved.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, when I wrote this, San Fran -3 at the time, just feels like that Vikings too good to be true position with the numbers just there. 3.5 might put me off, but I still think it's a big opportunity for San Fran to get back on the back in the division and back on track.
Yeah, and San Fran's certainly still a very talented team. Again, going back to last week, kicker gets hurt. They didn't punt at all in that second half. Didn't score a point.
They went from 4th and 23 or something.
Yeah,
they had no choice.
Because
they couldn't kick it.
Because they couldn't kick it. So definitely an asterisk on that game. Seahawks were also in a bad spot. You go against the Giants. Giants had that mini bye where they played on Thursday. They had the short week against the Lions game where they were scoring enough points but just couldn't get it done. I don't have a side. Being a Rams fan, I hope they both lose, but I know that can't
You're looking for a tie?
Can punters not kick a field goal or at least attempt one? I mean, surely the dynamics is the same. At least to have a crack at it.
I don't know what the thought is. And usually you have an emergency kicker. We've seen skill players do it too before. But going for a 4th 20, that can't be the right call.
You've got to attempt the field goal.
Absolutely insane. All right, next up, Commanders, Ravens. Guys, a month ago, if I told you this was going to be the best matchup of the week, would you have believed me?
Nope.
No?
Nope, definitely not.
What can we expect from this one, Joey?
So this is Jane Daniels, Rookie of the Year favorite. This is his prove-it game against the Ravens. The almighty Ravens certainly want to shut that down. But Jaden's playing very well right now. Not only on the ground, but also throwing the ball as well. Very accurate passer. Last week I expected the regression to come for Jaden. Didn't come. Because the Browns I thought would be the best defense he's played thus far. Still killed him. Ravens fought until the very end against the Bengals and prevailed. Very good game here. And I'm leaning to the over because I think, again, Ravens defense not as great. We saw it against the Bengals. And the Commanders can score. Again, on the other side, Commanders defense is playing better than I expected. But again, it was against the Browns last week. So I expect, I like the over in this spot.
The new kid on the block, not to be confused with Joey's favorite band of the 90s. Which true
I love
story.
Summertime.
It's a true story.
That's a good song.
I actually did see them 5 straight nights in concert once.
Did you? I think they have a new residency coming to Vegas, Joey. You want us to get you tickets?
He's already got
them. Okay.
The new kid on the block versus the MVP of the league in the Mobile Quarterback Bowl. I don't think there's not a better mobile quarterback than Lamar Jackson since Michael Vick, if you're old enough to remember him. And then you've got Derrick Henry on top, who's having a monster year. Easily the game of the week. Given Harbaugh coaches a mobile quarterback, I think he has an advantage on defending Jaden Daniels. So I think that's where the edge is for Baltimore. That's why I had the logic of picking Scary Terry for a touchdown scorer, because Baltimore's pass defense is not great. Make Daniels beat you through the air. It screams over, which Joey likes. So I love the under.
Yeah. Right. All right. Well,
it's too high a total. It's 51.5.
I'm excited.
That's high.
All right. Next up, the 1-4 Cincinnati Bengals versus the 2-3 New York Giants. Unfortunately, they do not flex games this early. So let's break it down. Craig, what should we expect?
This isn't actually that bad a game.
Really?
Yeah, because
you're excited
you think
for this one.
It takes a lot to get me excited.
I'd switch out Commanders Ravens for this game.
Yeah, I agree. Rare meetings. They've only played 11 times prior. The Giants have won the last 2. The Giants actually on paper are not as bad as what we think. If you talk to somebody about, tell me about the New York Giants, they go, oh, they stink. They lost to Washington and Minnesota the first 2 weeks. And look how Washington and Minnesota have turned out.
Yeah.
They lost the Washington game because an injured kicker. Because you can't get the punter to kick at least an extra point or attempt it because they couldn't convert either of the 2-point conversions. They played the Cowboys tough. They shocked Seattle on the road last week. Outplayed them.
Yeah.
Seattle were about to tie the game up on the field goal, but it got returned. So the Giants are actually a way better team than I joke about. But the Bengals are turning it up. I'm as you've known all podcasts, I love Burrow at the moment.
Yeah.
The guy's on fire. It's his time of the year. They've had the first 2 weeks where they get the cobwebs out of the way. Should have beat the Chiefs. Absolutely should have beat Baltimore. This is the Giants' acid test on Sunday night, so it'll be interesting. I kind of like the Bengals, but my numbers make the Giants better against the line, so I'm stuck in the middle on this one.
Yeah,
Joey?
It's an absolute must-win for the Bengals. I mean, they're clearly a much better team than their 1-4 record suggests. Bengals backs against the walls, and the Giants don't have that mini bye that I really think helped them last week of being competitive in that game. Give me the Bengals, find a way, and cover this one.
All right. Next up, Bills, Jets. Jets fresh off firing their head coach. As we discussed, the Bills are fresh off an unfortunate performance by Josh Allen. Both teams have lost 2 in a row, so who will break the streak on Monday night? Joey?
Yeah, Jets fire their coach. Like you said, Bills coming off the battle of bad coaching in the fourth quarter. That end of that game was gross. Bills obviously the better offense here, but Jets have a good defense, so we're really going to be interested to see how that battle goes, and who's ever going to win that battle is who's going to, I think, prevail in this game. Again, I don't know if the Jets get that bump of firing the coach because I don't know if it was the coach the problem. I'm not in that locker room, so I have no idea. Aaron Rodgers would love to show the world that he's back, but it's going to be a really interesting game, and I think really the matchup to watch is that Bills offense, Jets defense, because that's going to be the majority of the game.
Right.
Yeah, and that's the talent of the Jets, the defense. The Bills have come off 2 losses versus marquee talent, the Ravens and the Titans. The Texans, sorry. The Ravens dominated them. We thought that would be the case because Derrick Henry always has great games. They played the Texans tough. I think they were down like 17 at one stage, if I remember rightly.
Yeah.
The Jets on the other side have only beaten Tennessee and the great New England Patriots. I'm looking forward to the Tuesday morning excuses. That tells you which side I like.
All right, I like it.
But it wouldn't surprise you. Joey might be right. It wouldn't surprise me if Rodgers comes out like in his prime.
Yeah,
lights
I agree.
it up for one game. But wasn't this the game where he did his Achilles last year?
Yeah.
And the Jets only won on the walk-off punt.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
So, yes, the Bills back in New York.
I'm staying away from this game because I don't know.
Game.
Yeah. Let's get into our game picks of the week. Joey, you had a good week last week. Do you want to remind everyone where we all stand?
Yep, I'm at 6. Cindy's at 5.
Correct.
Craig?
I'm still here.
Okay.
2.
Correct, 2.
Right.
Yeah. One more than last week, right?
Yeah, I managed to get one.
It's all about progress.
Well, when I saw the flags at Nebraska and Rutgers, I knew that I'd already won. Because they just could not move the ball.
Yeah, that was, yeah.
All right, Craig, start us off. What are your game picks of the week?
Unfortunately, because there's a big gaming conference on this week, I didn't put a lot of effort into this, which means I'm going 2-0, absolutely guaranteed.
Yeah, obviously.
And I've had to take 2 sides because I didn't get to look at all the other variables. 49ers minus 3.5. I'm going to, my dogs are, 4-2 straight up on the college upset. Yeah. So I'm going to go with Oregon plus 3.5. Okay. I'm not taking them straight up.
Joey, who you got?
I'm going with Friday night matchup, Big 12, Arizona State hosting Utah. Give me Arizona State plus 6.5. We're going to play this game as we always play every game. Is Cam Rising playing? The answer is no. Is Zach Wilson's young kid brother's playing for Utah, and he's not that great. So give me Arizona State. That the atmosphere is going to be electric, plus 6.5. For NFL-wise, going against the grain here, was it just the Panthers? No. Give me the Bears minus 2 against the Jags. I think the Jags defense is horrendous. I think the Bears are going to do enough to get this done.
All right. And in honor of Craig loving to name his picks, I've named this one the Joe Burrow Special. We're going to go to his alma mater, LSU, 3.5 home dog.
Yep.
And then we're going to go Bengals over Giants in a must-win. Get this team another win. We'll see. Heading into the weekend, guys, anything else you'd like to say?
Happy birthday to Craig Mucklow.
Yes.
Was it 65 this year?
72.
Oh, no. Craig, you've got a birthday this weekend. Any big plans?
Harlow Friday night, as usual.
That's good.
A good dinner. Maybe followed by some drinks.
Lamb chops on the Harlow Martini. There you go.
There you go.
Well, big
Nothing
happy
better.
birthday
Thank you.
to Craig. We hope you enjoy it, and we hope you go 2-0 for your birthday.
Zero chance. In my younger days, I used to go to the dog track always on my birthday.
Yeah.
I went like 3 straight years, 13 straight races each year, never back to winner. So I went like 0-39.
Oh, no. Well, hopefully your luck changes this year. All right, guys, that will do it.